What's up? Hey. Hello. Mare. Look, my hair was perfect for it.
Your hair looks great.
Thank you. I figured out
really
how to work
good.
it around the microphone.
Or the headphones.
New trick. I mean the headphones is what I mean.
I don't want to know what you're doing with that phallic pink thing in front of your face.
Nope, girl. Only you would know.
Oh.
That's
disgusting. Anyway, hi.
Hi,
and hello.
lady.
Welcome back to Life in the New Normal podcast. Hello, all our subtle impactors, lifers, whatever we're going to call everybody now. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. Dena,
Yes.
Did you know that we have people listening in the United Kingdom, like quite a few? Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you. I miss London so much, and I miss all my UK friends. And hi. We are so grateful for you. Portugal. We have folks in Portugal. Hello, Portugal. Thank you for following.
Hello, Portugal.
So cool.
Hi, London.
Canada. So great. So cool, eh?
How y'all doing, eh?
Yep. And India. How random is that?
Oh, that is amazing.
That is so cool. Thank you guys so much.
I
we
love
really appreciate you, and we really enjoy being here chatting every week. So thank you for giving us a reason to continue to show up.
Oh my God, thank you for giving us a reason to keep talking.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So it's so cool. Thank you.
That.
We see you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Welcome back. I'm Ashley Heydrich. This is our fabulous life coach, Dena Padawana. And how are you doing, Dena? How are you enjoying our little Life in the New Normal cafe segments?
Oh my goodness. I am loving it so much because when I cook and I eat, I always have to do it alone, and now I get to have fun watching you try to do it.
Try being the key word. But it is true. Y'all that have watched those videos on our little Life in the New Normal cafe page, you know that I am no chef, and God bless you, Dena, for tolerating and giving me easier recipes. Or at least last week was easier. I have yet to see what today's is going to be. But
well, here's what it's going to be. Is like this. The easier and easier, and then the better you get, the more difficult they will become.
Oh, great.
Well, I mean, and I don't mean difficult as in to do, but I think we're going to change the palate because so many people don't realize with vegan gluten-free, you could eat so many incredible things.
That's
it's just
right.
Sometimes we don't think of it.
It's true, and with a little bit of meal prep, like we can do some really cool things, and it is a mindset, and you start to sort of change and prepare, and if you prep a little ahead of time and have certain ingredients lying around the house, it's easy to just throw those things together, I guess. So
yes, totally. I'm going to say something rude, but it's true.
Oh, God.
Literally, vegan gluten-free food, it's kind of like all the same 5 freaking ingredients. It's like chia seeds, coconut oil, coconut milk, oats, cacao or cocoa, maple syrup. I mean, you just put it in different forms, different balls, add a banana, don't add a banana, add some this, don't add some this. And it's just everyone, if you're vegan or gluten-free or you're becoming that way, you pretty much have everything in your pantry already.
And an alternate flour, like a, right?
Yes.
Like a oat flour, rice flour, whatever works for you, almond flour.
Mm-hmm.
They make it out of everything these days. It's like you literally can get 10 different kinds of flours. So that's cool.
Totally. Yeah.
But anyway, today, let's see, where are we today? Today we are discussing what is your definition of doing the right thing?
This is my favorite subject.
Oh, God.
This is my favorite subject.
Right. So this is going to be fun.
Fun for you.
Well,
Fun
listen,
for me.
when you suggested this topic, I already felt it coming. I was like, oh, for crying out loud. Here we go. Here we go. Because
listen.
It's subjective, though, right? I mean, there is a right and a wrong, but also there's a lot of gray area in there. So a lot of us may feel we're doing the right thing, and then to somebody else, it may feel like the wrong thing.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you what doing the right thing is to me.
Okay,
and my Italian moral compass growing up in the States with my New York Italian family, right?
Yeah.
And so doing the right thing for me, I have this saying, always do the right thing, especially when no one's looking.
Yep.
And basically, what that for me means is if you find something, try to return it if possible. You
Sure.
be kind. You always help your neighbor. One time I found a wallet with a friend of mine when we were in our 20s, and she found it. And she's like, dude, I found this wallet. It's got like 500 in it. Let's spend it. I go, no, let's give it back. And she's like,
Yeah.
what? And I'm like, no, let's give it back.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Uh-huh.
let's try to find the people.
Yeah.
And so she did, and that was lovely. And then I feel like it's like, I don't know, when I used to watch kids lie to their parents or like
Mm-hmm.
whatever, just felt weird to me. And maybe that's some of the neurodivergent things that I now have been aware of with the autism and things. But it's like I would prefer not to do it if it meant I had to do something that compromised my moral compass.
Sure. Yeah.
And so, what does it mean to you?
Well, I feel like things like that are sort of overtly like obvious, like don't be a dick,
Mhm.
just
Yeah, yeah,
it's not
totally. Don't be a
yours.
dick.
Give it back,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The things that I would say trip me up a little bit or that might be a little bit more morally ambiguous would be like I am on the slow leaning path to maybe veganism. I won't say it fully
Mm-hmm.
yet, but I do feel like I'm on that path. I've not eaten meat
Mm-hmm.
in what, 5 years now. That was
That's
actually
amazing.
not as hard as I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be a lot more
Uh-huh.
difficult, but there are really good replacement products now because I was a meat lover. I ate steak,
Yeah.
loved it, looked forward to it, ate burgers. But there are replacements for that satisfy that craving for me, so that's not as hard. Fish is a little more difficult because there's not really a great replacement for fish that I've found yet, but I'm still working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, my point being, I'll be in the grocery store sometimes and I'll have the option of, oh, I did see this vegan recipe where I could make this out of mushrooms or something, or I could just buy the shrimp. And sometimes I'll buy
Yeah.
the shrimp. And so then I do feel that in that moment. And I'm like, but I feel like, I do still give myself a little bit of that now and then, but I'm doing
Mm-hmm.
so much less of it that I feel like that's okay too. I'm on sort of a path. It hasn't been a cold turkey hard stop for me, but I'm getting there.
Do you want to know how you can make it stop really fast?
Oh,
Is
God.
just imagine Reggie in a pan, her mom's dog, with
Aw,
lots of potatoes, rosemary, salt and pepper, and somebody pushing him in, and he's like,
I know.
hey, Ashley, help me.
I know.
In Italy, it's easier because, unfortunately, and fortunately for fresh or not, but the pig is in the like on the glass thing with an apple in its mouth, and you're
Yeah.
like, me, nope, not can't help you.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
no,
for
no.
some reason, meat is harder for me because I do picture the animals. I do believe all the
Mm-hmm.
animals, I don't want to put them through that. For some reason, fish, I don't have the same. I do and I don't. But you look at a little
Mm-hmm.
shrimp and you think, well, what's the harm? It's almost like an insect.
Yeah.
But I know I got to get there. And I
See,
am
and I
getting
became a
there.
vegetarian at 20 because of
Mm-hmm.
these reasons without
Mm-hmm.
even knowing the full impact of it all. So, are you saying for you, not eating meat or animals is leaning towards trying to do the right thing and what that means to you
I'm
is.
saying that the process has been leaning towards the right thing for me because I know
Mm-hmm.
that it's the right thing. I know not even eating fish or any living thing that has to die is the right
Mm-hmm.
thing to do. But I still do,
Mm-hmm.
stumble on fish a little bit.
Okay.
So that's for me to work on still, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Huh. I'm pretty perfect then. No, I'm kidding.
What asshole.
No.
Don't worry, we'll find other
Well,
things for you. There are
no,
other
no,
topics to discuss, Dana.
no, listen. I've also been doing the right thing with this. I no longer put paper products other than toilet paper in my house because I have learned that I cannot be trusted with a roll of paper towel it doesn't last longer than 2 days. I just will go through and pull and pull. So I bought a bunch of different microfiber towels, and I have them all around the house to use as napkins or
That's
wipe
smart.
downs or
Yeah.
whatever it is, right? So I'm trying to do the right thing when it comes to that kind of stuff about my consumption,
Mm-hmm.
about the electric and the gas, and do I really need that, or whatever it is. I'm also becoming very aware of that, which, let's be real, growing up in the 90s in the States, it was more about consumption, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I was thinking about this the other day. I don't think anyone ever taught me that it wasn't about getting more stuff.
Oh yeah, no.
Because
Consumerism,
growing up in the
capitalism.
States, it
Mm-hmm.
was about, what do you have? Oh my God, did you go shopping this weekend? Oh my God, what did you do? So when I'm learning, because I watch lots of minimalism videos on YouTube and stuff, and it is, again, a way of life. But
Mm-hmm.
the lady was talking yesterday about keeping an inventory about what comes in all the time and what goes out all the time. Because even if you're not shopping for like clothes or things, food is coming in, people may give you stuff that's coming in, you may find something that's coming in. And so I'm very aware now, especially like with the kitchen and things of like, the food insecurity. I'm like, I don't have enough, I don't have this, I don't. And then cleaning out all the cabinets and putting it,
Mm-hmm.
I realize I have more than enough,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm coming from consumerism mentality.
Right.
And so that's what I'm learning now, and I'm a little embarrassed by it, but I won't, I'm kind to myself because I'm learning by myself through YouTube and other people,
That
about that, about
that
consumerism and
you did what? I'm sorry. Did you do something imperfectly? I'm sorry.
no,
Could
I
you repeat that?
said that I could prevent myself from doing it in the future.
And I get that. And then there's other things,
Yeah.
like, well, since I drove back and forth, 2 hours this weekend, being on the road for me, like, I love to drive fast. I love it. It's so fun.
Mm-hmm,
I love it.
mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
and I'm a very good driver, and I've always been a very good driver. But, I have those moments of like, I am speeding. I am, I should probably not be going this fast, but it's like, I don't know. Or when somebody's in the lane in front of you in the left lane and you're wanting to pass them. Why do people sit there? I don't know. But people are just like, don't you know? They see you in the rearview mirror. They know they're in the
Mm-hmm.
passing lane. They're just sitting there because I don't know why. It's like, don't you see that I'm trying to get around you? And I can sit there for a minute. I always sit there and give them an opportunity. But if they don't move, then I start to ride their ass a little bit. And it's like,
Oh, you're such a dick.
am
Do you
I?
know what I used
Am
to
I the
do to
dick or
people
is the
like
person
you?
in front the dick? Because why aren't you moving over? Why aren't you going
But
around the
it's
car beside us and just getting out of the
wait,
way?
excuse me. You could go on the other
I
side and
can't.
get
There's a
out of the
car there.
way.
You're blocking the passing lane. There's a car. If I could go
Oh,
around you, I would,
okay.
but you're blocking and you're just going the same speed. Get the out
Really?
of the way. It's like that
See,
drives me batty.
that doesn't feel right to me.
I don't know. Well, that's
No, you know
listen. I'm
what?
giving you an example of like those
I love it. No, I
areas
love it
where
in the sense is that you know how many times Italians have followed me and rode my ass because I cut them off 20 lights ago and they're still so pissed.
Oh yeah, well that's the other thing. Like if I pass any guy on the road, especially if he's in a truck, because there's so many damn huge trucks here in the South, that man will ride my ass for 20 miles for sure. And I'm just like, whatever, see if you can keep up. One did it yesterday, and I was on back roads, and he tried, and I had so much fun losing him. But
See, my dumbass used to stop short in front of those fuckers.
yeah, but then you run the risk
And
of
so,
getting
but
hit.
then I know, but I didn't think of that before.
Yeah,
Like,
so funny.
And so I don't like when people ride my ass because they're pressuring me to go faster. And I don't want to go faster.
Well, just get out
And
of the way.
so, for sure, but I'm usually in the slow lane or like
Okay,
whatever. I
good.
don't just
Well,
do
that's
it on
fine.
the
Then they should leave
thing.
you alone.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're in the right hand lane, or I don't know how it is in Italy,
I
but
get it. Yeah, it's the same. I get it. No,
just
I
get
get
out
it.
of
It's
the way.
totally. Or let's just say, like,
Oh
hypothetically,
boy.
you
Here she
see
goes.
someone's, well, back in the day, like, we see someone's wine and we live with them or whatever, and we swear we're gonna replace it, and then we drink it, and then we fall asleep, and then a couple days happen, and then we used to forget maybe to replace it or whatever. Is that in that thing, or is that just a boo-boo mistake?
Wait, what?
You
You're
know,
talking
like
about
doing the right
stealing
thing.
someone's alcohol and not
It's
replacing
not
it? What are you
stealing. It's
talking
if it's
about?
your roommate or something and
It's
they have
stealing.
wine and you're out.
That would be stealing.
That is,
If
you
you don't
think?
replace it,
Well, yeah, but you forgot the next day, so then you'll do it the day after, and she may or he may notice, or they may notice, and then you're like, "Oh my God, my bad. I'm so sorry." Like,
right,
I'll replace it.
right.
Is
But
that
you
does
didn't.
that
If you're going to
fall?
use somebody else's stuff, then it is your
Okay,
responsibility to like remember to go replace it by the time they would
for
like to
sure.
use it. Like it's not cool for you to drink it and then they are planning to drink it the next day or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's
So
not
I would
there.
just say,
Because then they got
don't
to go
drink
out.
it.
So that's not
Yeah,
cool,
true that.
right?
I
I
mean,
don't know. I
thankfully,
mean,
I don't
that's what
drink
I would
anymore,
say.
but I'm just saying.
I don't
Uh
either.
huh.
But yeah, yeah,
Uh
yeah.
huh. Well, and for me, I am a stickler for people with a more. I love people with a good moral compass. Who those are the kind of people where you just know they're going to do the right thing and you don't have to worry about it or second guess it or
Yeah.
whatever. And there are some
Do you know any people like
scrupulous
that?
people. Me. Um,
Shit.
I'm in a
Oh
roll
boy.
today.
Hmm.
No, I do know a few people like that I grew up with and stuff like that. But there are people. See, I'll take my own shortcuts, and that. Listen, we will all make it fine for us and an exception in that moment. And then people will go, "Well, you don't do the right thing." No, but this is different. No, but I'm saying I know other people that will take tiny shortcuts. But what I've learned, no matter what, is you get back what you give. And so it's
Right.
not that I'm perfect all the time, but
Mhm.
I'm really trying to be more aware of that.
Well, taking shortcuts is another whole thing. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
about as far as I go, is the things I just mentioned to you. But, taking shortcuts to me means sometimes shortcutting somebody
Mm-hmm.
else. And I have a problem with that,
Oh.
right? It's like if you're, I don't know, there's so many examples in real
Oh.
estate because, I do a lot with little, rentals and property and whatnot. And it's like if you're going to
Mm-hmm.
shortcut doing something right,
Mm-hmm.
you run the risk of somebody paying for that in the long run. Either something breaks on them
Mm-hmm.
or I don't know. There's a million different, examples, but
Totally. And then also I think this one's really important
it
is
should be
that
win-win.
you should tell somebody something before somebody else does if you know somebody is about to shock your partner, your friend, whatever, of something you did or you may not have done or whatever. But I think it's so important sometimes that we hear it from the person we're closest to instead of somebody random.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like
Right.
doing the right thing would be to be honest with someone, not waiting until shit hits the fan and then they find out. Right.
Right.
And
Sure.
so I'm not saying
That
you
would
have
be
to say
awful.
something to everyone all the time, but the fact is give me the grace, give me the consideration, at least tell me. Like my dad is very famous for, or he used to be famous for it, and maybe not so much now, is um, you would be calling something and let's say you kids are fighting or whatever, and he literally would be like, so someone wants to talk to you. I'd be like, who? Ooh, and he would put me on the phone with a sibling or someone that you're
Right.
pissed with. And
Right.
it's like, dude, not cool. Not cool at all. I mean,
Yeah.
we all used to be annoyed as kids, but now I
Yep.
realize it's not the right thing. He's
No.
bypassing the middle shit,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
it's like,
Forcing it. Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah.
it's like, or doing the right thing is if you hear girlfriends talking shit about another common
Mm-hmm.
person that you guys have, like, guys, come on. Like,
Yeah.
not cool. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
want to witness that, right? And so
Agreed.
sometimes I find in conversations now when listen, there's a difference between venting and talking shit about somebody. So
Yep.
I'm talking when I'm talking to someone and just for sport, they like to talk shit about someone.
Right.
So I will gracefully try to change the subject.
Yep.
And in times before when I wasn't so graceful, people used to attack me and go, "Oh, miss, I've been in therapy. I'm so much better than everyone." I'm like, that's not what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Right? All I said was, "Hey, maybe we could change the subject, or that's not cool, or whatever it may be." And what I'm learning is I don't, because there is a fine line with this one. What I'm learning is, yes, if you have an issue with a friend, a partner, a coworker, whatever it may be, you owe it to them to talk about what it is that's bothering you so that maybe they could rectify it, right? And but a lot of people won't have the hard conversations, the
Mm-hmm.
little ones, and they start off little,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But they let it keep tumbling and
Festering.
getting bigger
Mm-hmm.
and bigger and festering and getting bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden one day they're just pissed and they're done. But the other person has no idea why.
Right,
What are you
right, right,
talking
right.
about? What's wrong with you? I'm
Yeah.
in shock. Well,
And I
doing
used
the
to be
right thing
guilty
would
of
be to
that
have a
too.
conversation.
I was afraid to have certain conversations years ago too. And
What
you
were
know,
you afraid of?
I don't know. I have no idea. What was I afraid of? I
I
don't
think what
know.
happens
Because I
is
was going to
maybe
lose them if I
you,
didn't have the conversation. So it's like,
yes,
what was I afraid of? I just didn't have
of
the
the,
tools. You know what I mean? To
yeah,
understand how to navigate it properly, I think. And that comes with time and therapy and reading books
mm-hmm.
about that and talking to life
And
coaches.
psychics, life
That's
coaches, yes,
right.
but
And
uh, well, and I'll tell you this is I think a lot of us are afraid of the narrative we have in our head,
right.
what we have assumed somebody is going to come back at us
You're
with.
absolutely right. And half the time that never happens. If you approach people in the right
Never.
way, gently, say, I really want to talk about this, they're going to go, huh, and unless they're an
Mm-hmm.
absolute dick, I
Totally,
mean, they
right?
could be that too. And then there's your answer. But you have to give people a chance to rise
Mm-hmm.
to the occasion if you want to keep them in your life, right?
Totally.
And if they
And here's
don't, here's
totally.
your answer.
Well, and here's another one that this one is
Uh
my
oh.
Achilles heel. If someone tells you they're so broke and they have no money for food and they can't get shit done, whatever, and then you, let's say, lend them money, or you've gone out of your way to help them, and then the next day on the socials you see they got their hair done, their nails done, and they're out,
Yeah.
and you're kind of like, well,
Well,
where's my money?
yeah.
Like, and where's you had now money to get your nails? I thought you couldn't eat. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I thought you
Mm-hmm.
couldn't, like, whatever. And so I think sometimes it's unfair of the people who go and use
Sure.
friends, family, whatever, people that are super giving because they know they're going to give it,
Yep.
right? And then they get pissed if you comment that, "Hey, do you have my money?"
Yeah.
Or something,
Yeah.
and they get super pissed off and super defensive. And it's like, wait, what's this on me now?
Sure. Of
And so
course.
that one is really frustrating.
I agree. I agree. And it's those little things, that you don't see coming,
Mm-hmm.
like so many things in life that kind of catch you off guard. And then you're left with a choice. It's like, well, how do I deal with this person? Or, is it the other person not doing the right thing? Or is it you not doing the right thing? I always like to feel that I'm sort of keeping my side of the street clean with relationships, and stuff like that, like we said.
For
And now the
sure.
driving,
Well,
maybe I
and
still have to work on, but get out of the
you
way!
know what I do? Wait, you know what I
Get
do
the
with the
fuck out of
driving?
the way!
No, I do with the driving is I pretend when they're writing, like, or if somebody is an ass and they cut in front of me and they get off and
Now,
they're a
when you
dick
say
or they're
ass, you mean
writing my
someone who's
ass.
just got somewhere to go and you're in the way? Is that what you mean by that?
Maybe, or
Okay,
it
just
just could
checking.
be someone with a cigarette and then the cell phone on and they're talking, they're
Oh,
blasting music and they're
yeah.
just rushing to rush, right?
Yep.
I pretend I'm taking pictures of the license plates and people literally will bolt out of your way. It is the weirdest thing. It's like
That's
this
funny.
subliminal messaging of like, "Oh, I'm reporting you."
Yeah,
I'm
that's
the
funny.
Italian Karen.
Yep. Aw, no.
Right? And
Well,
so
move over and then you
yeah.
can take all the pictures you want. I don't care.
Right? And so, but see, but all those little things add up. It's like,
Right.
you just have to eventually, like, it just becomes who you are and it's second nature. It doesn't occur to me to, like, I was with this girl a couple years ago and we were in a store And we came out, and she goes, "Oh, I got some makeups because I know you were in a rush and I didn't want to have to wait in that long line." So she stole 3 pieces of makeup,
Wait,
but
what?
she blames it on me. Yeah, we're in like a shop in this was in Rome,
Mm-hmm.
and she got an eyeliner, a mascara, and like a lip gloss, but blamed me because there was a long line, and because I didn't want to wait. What? But
What?
I'm like, I said to her, do not ever do that with me
Right.
again. It is not fair to put me in that position
Mm-hmm.
over like $5,
Right.
right?
It's
And
ridiculous.
well, and that same person who was crying that she had no money, and I was the one of the dum dums that gave her some for
Mm-hmm.
food or like whatever, and I go to stay at her house, and she's telling me she has no money, she has no this, the people are calling to repo her car, she's
Mm-hmm.
lying to the guy or whatever, and then when I get to her house, I find out, because she told me she wasn't feeling good and she needed help, I find out she had lipo. And
Yeah.
you're like,
And you're like,
wait,
that's
so
not why
you're
I gave
dicking
you.
off
Yeah.
all, well, and you're dicking off all the car people, your rent people, everything, and you just paid 3 grand for lipo? Like,
Right.
I don't think we have much aligned,
Right. Exactly. Those are different
right?
values.
For sure. And so for me, I just I don't ride like that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No.
Like, I don't want to have to watch my back. I'm not going to be, afraid. That's different though, because that's a choice. I'm not talking about the people who can't afford things. I'm talking about the people who make a, a, a decision going,
Yep.
lipo's more important. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
And so I feel like, I mean, there are so many things, I'm sure so many people listening to us could think of things that really bother them. It's like the animal thing. A lot of people adopted animals during the pandemic so they could get
Mm-hmm.
out and walk, but after the pandemic, they gave them to
Right.
shelters.
I fucking hate that. I hate it.
And it's just like, how it's a
Why?
living thing. It
It's.
has feelings. It's
Mm,
not there for your entertainment and for you to use and then discard,
that's right. Yeah.
right? Or find it
It's
a home,
selfish.
or
You needed
totally.
company, so you brought this living being into your home, let it get
Mm-hmm.
attached to you, and then when it was inconvenient, you cast it back out, and
Mm-hmm.
here and it's easy for me to say that because I hypocritically, don't eat meat but still eat fish, which is a living thing too. So it's like, or
Mm-hmm.
you wear leather, or you buy a leather handbag, or whatever it is. There's so many different layers of it, that
Mm-hmm.
that I think we all sort of slowly go through as to what is right and how far are you willing to keep going to feel like you're really keeping your side of the street clean. It's a lot,
Totally. And
but
I think everyone leaning in, trying to do the best they can, for me, is always 100% better than doing nothing at
exactly.
all.
Like take one step. And if you already own a leather handbag and you don't want to give it up, fine. Keep, fine. But or shoes or whatever, but do what you can. Take one step. Take one
Mm-hmm.
small step. And that's the whole point of our cooking segment too, is like choose one day a week that you're going to go vegan and
Yeah,
gluten
just
free.
lean into
Start.
it
Just
and
start.
totally.
Mhm.
Yes, that's all we ask. And it's not this big, overwhelming. Listen, years after being a vegetarian, I was adamant I would never give up cheese, but I will tell anyone that
Right.
is the best thing I've ever done for myself.
I think I have, no joke, 7 different types of cheese in my fridge right now. Just shredded
Oh,
cheese.
wow.
Just
Oh,
shredded.
wow. Oh, wow.
I mean,
That's a
4 of
lot.
them are vegan. Like they make vegan
Mm-hmm.
options and everything, but I have a couple still.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. It's little things like that of like I don't drink, milk anymore, but sometimes I'll still buy the cheese. So, see, I've
But at
still got
least
room
you're
to go.
doing something,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
so at least you're okay. So I'll give you another, for instance. And I listen, I'm not talking about Italy in a bad way whatsoever. I'm just talking in general what happens here. So unfortunately, politically, it's corrupt, right? And everyone's been suppressed and under financial things and everything. So when you pay your electric bill, your gas bill, there you have to send the numbers. And I laugh because I'm like, wait a minute. So you trust all of these
You mean off
Italians
your
to
meter?
send the right? Yes.
What? Oh,
And so you
wow.
have to send your own
Wow.
numbers. And
Wow.
so when I used to be married and he would kind of fudge the numbers, I
Of
go,
course,
dude, that
I'm
shit's
sure
gonna
he
come
did.
back on you. Well, yeah, I'm like, but that shit's coming back. He's like, no, I say, and I'm like, but everything in my sphincter
Oh my
just went,
God.
no, I do not, because Then cut to when I moved here, they came and changed my meter to digital. Well, all of a sudden, if those numbers aren't matching what they had, you're going to pay the difference.
Ooh,
so if you've
ouch.
been doing that in the same house for like 8 to 10 to 12 years,
right.
You can't say another family lived here, but I get it because we get taxed so much. The system is so corrupt. People are so pissed off. All bills went up. I totally get it. But what I'm saying is just because you don't agree with it, it doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. And I'm not I'm not talking about the people who can't afford the bills and who are doing it just to survive. I'm talking about everyday people who have great jobs, who whatever, but they do it as a sport because they want to fuck the system the way the system has fucked them. And I totally common sense. That makes sense to me. Right. But my biggest fear, because, of background thing is I don't want to get caught doing anything bad because I don't want any surprises. I want to be able to live my life, and if somebody comes up or whatever, I'd be like, here, come look, I got nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that for me is freedom.
Yes, it is. And for me, a similar thing to that, since you mentioned it, is since I have rental property, is the Airbnb right now is such a big thing, and all these short-term rentals. It doesn't have to be Airbnb, but different cities have different rulings on that, and obviously, it would be the best way for me to make the most money. It would be to short-term rent the property. Well, it's not legal. It's not allowed where I am. I don't know if it's a legal versus illegal thing right now, but it's not allowed. You need a permit. They won't permit where I am. Okay, fine. So, I'm not doing it. It was a hard pill to swallow because it makes a huge difference in how I can support myself here. And, what do you do, Well, I agree with you. Like, I do not want someone busting in on me and then going, okay, well, we're going to fine you X amount back because of all this. And a lot of people do it illegally. A lot of people do. And I don't know if they'll ever get busted or not. But if they do, I just don't see that being, that's not a good thing to have to live with.
Well, and here's another thing that bothers me, and I'm going to piss off a lot of people, but I don't fucking care at this point, is that,
girl.
This one really bothers me, is that when people are in in an apartment that has rent control, and they've been there for a certain amount of time, and they start subleasing it and making the extra money, it's like, you're robbing the owner of being able to make money. He has to pay taxes, insurance, or whatever, taxes, insurance, like whatever. Why do you feel it's your right to make money off of somebody else's property?
Well, it depends on what's written in the contract. Some of them do allow those subleases. Some don't. You're right. I've seen people do it where they were just trying not to get caught, and they were making a lot of money under the table,
I know a client who did it in New York, and she had a beautiful 2-bedroom. She made I think it was $28,000 or something Airbnb. Well, she didn't know that the owners had put a camera in the hallway, and so they saw every time someone new went in. And she got busted and had to pay all that money back and then some, right?
Wow,
but the fact is that at some point, it may not be that you'll get busted for Airbnb, but you may get a bill tacked on someplace else that you have to pay a shit ton of money for. That may not seem fair.
I don't want that.
Meaning exactly. Karmically, it is going to come. Bad, good, and indifferent. We get what we give, no matter. And I think I've said this before. Intuitively, what's going on in the world, astrologically, everything is... It is about accountability. So there is no more, but he made me do this, or but they don't pay me. But okay, we get all that, and it's really unfair. So let's go through it. But you don't like the job, they don't pay you enough. Try to find a new one, and until you can, you have to put up with this. Because all of those complaints, what are you doing to try to change it? A lot of us, nothing. We just bitch and we complain because we're frustrated, and we feel stuck because we have no place to go because sometimes we don't have the money. And it's like, well, I'm doing this because I need the money. I want to save the money. And then it's a certain mentality of okay, well, now that I've made this much, then our minds get a little more greedy, right? And we're like, well, let me just pay off my credit card.
You're on a roll.
After you pay off your credit card, well, then I need a bike. Well, then let me put a little bit more. And so it's when does it stop? Right? And so I just feel it's as soon as we can all get on a better track with ourselves, like I'll tell you an even story with my ex. So a neighbor had come to me and said, why don't you guys pay your HOA? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was like,
Shit.
what? Because I never got to see any bill. Nothing is in my name.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't my apartment. He wouldn't let me see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, you guys haven't paid in years, and it's not fair to us. And I was like, what? Years?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Uh-huh.
So I brought it up. He said it was a lie. She was exaggerating. Okay, fine. Then a couple months later, knock at the door. I open it. 4 people coming to give a thing on the house, an estimate, because I guess they could sell it or whatever. So he said, I don't understand all of this and why. And he goes, his ignorance and his arrogance was, I don't like the way they do it. And it's true. The complex was not kept nice at all. People were getting robbed. But he decided that he was not going to pay it because he didn't feel. He got sued. He owed $8,000, and then he had to pay an extra $11,000 in interest rates.
Sure.
So he had to pay $18,000.
Ouch. That's painful.
Yeah, but do you see how the arrogance of like, oh
Yeah.
please, like no, and it's just like, I don't work like that. I
Right.
don't. It doesn't. That I don't ever. I would rather pay first, talk later. Meaning, let me pay the bill, let me do the right thing, and then let me go to the office, have an argument, have a conversation, write a letter. But to just not pay for 5 years and think that that's totally normal and fine, and you're that arrogant to assume no one's ever going to say anything.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been that person in the past too, years ago. I mean, I've certainly done things that not anymore, but I'm saying in the past, I get that mentality, especially if you're in a desperate place and you don't have the money and you're looking where it can come from, but it is a no-win. Like, it's never, I mean, I think of the things I went through after I made certain choices, and I'm like, not fun. Not a good position to be in. It's just easier to stay above board.
Totally. And so let me ask you a question. If you were out in public and you saw somebody getting mistreated, is doing the right thing intervening and saying something, or calling someone somewhere, whatever, or minding your own business? I think that's different for a lot of people too.
Of course. I have a big mouth, so I am usually the first one to open my mouth. I think I would have to sort of judge the situation and see if we're both going to be put in harm's way. Are we in a place where we could both get the shit beat out of us? In that case, maybe make a phone call. I mean, I open my mouth all the time with people when I hear people talking, judging and talking about other people and whatever. I'll open my mouth and go, now, is that who cares? Who cares what that person does in their own home? Why do you care? And I'll get into it a little bit that way and anyway, piss people off. But,
I used to in my old building. It sucked. I lived next door to a couple who, unfortunately, there was some physical abuse. And the first time I had heard it, stood there and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, it's none of my business, stay out of it. I go, oh hell no. And I ran out that front door and pounded on the door, and I pounded nonstop, and until he answered the door, and he was sweating and he was out of breath, and I said, queso cheso, like, what's going on? Is there something you'd like to talk about? And you could see the wife was on the floor, and so I waited until she got up. And every time it happened after that, very few and far and in between, I would do the same thing. But one time, another girl in another apartment building, it was happening to. No one was stopping it. Everyone was standing outside watching. No one went in there to say, hey, dude, calm down. Like, this isn't cool. This is getting dangerous. There was literally 20 people standing outside and listening and watching. Now, for me, that's not the right thing to do.
Right.
You go in, you intervene, you try to save the girl, you call the police, you do something.
I guess I'll find out. Because I don't know if I've been put in that situation in a long time. I mean, I've had many situations where I've witnessed an accident, and I always run over and, try to help the person or help the person however I can. But I don't know that I've actually been in that situation in a long time where there's been like domestic violence or anything. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
right?
and it's a bummer. Like, what do you do if you're in a store and you're watching someone steal?
I could go turn them in. Could go report it.
I mean, would you or do you?
I haven't seen that either. I mean, I would think
I
that
always
yes, I
look
would,
to see
because
what
why? Yeah.
Yes, I always look to see what they're stealing, and if it's like food or necessities, I'll offer to buy it, right?
Ah,
And
that's nice
so
of
you
you.
just sort of be like, is there
Or talk to
anything I
them.
can help you with, or I could, yeah,
Yeah.
totally, because you don't know why someone's doing it. No, if it's
Right.
a bunch of kids doing little
Right.
jewelry t-shirt,
Being
I
idiots.
don't say shit because I did that when I was a kid. You know
I
what I
did
mean?
too, but I should have had my hand slapped for that shit. You know, I mean, it was stupid.
yeah,
It's not right.
I went to Disneyland jail.
You did.
I didn't even know Disneyland had
You
a
stole
jail.
at Disneyland?
And yes, me and my friend, we were stealing and then we high-fived, right? And this pregnant lady in normal clothes goes, was it really that cool, ladies? And we're like, what? And she goes, come with me. And we were with two other
Was she in
friends.
Minnie
And
Mouse
she took
ears?
us to the... No, she was like a secret person, like not a secret shopper, but
Disney?
Undercover.
Yeah.
Yeah, undercover. And she took us to Disneyland jail. And I had to call my mom. And I was, they told me I was never allowed back in Disneyland.
That is sad, because it is the happiest place on earth. Except for the prices right now. Shit, I imagine more people are probably stealing right now. I mean, my God, they're exorbitant. Anyway, another subject.
Totally. No. And so I think doing the right thing is different for everyone, but I think everyone can understand what we're trying to say in the sense is that check in with yourself and the things that used to be right for you and you may have justified earlier in your life because whatever reason, sit with yourself and see if that same thing is true, and literally kind of like look around and look at other people, and is it that you do it because you're pissed off and no one's in your corner and no one's supporting? Because for me, the number one thing, I was beat as a child daily and no one fucking intervened ever. Right. And I wished someone would have stuck up, said something, called child. Right. But then again, back in that day, it wasn't a thing. My mom used to beat my ass in front of the school. No one did anything. Right? And so I think that's why it also affects me too, is because...
Well, the 60s were a different time.
69 I was born, not 65 like you.
Oh, wow. Not quite. Sorry.
That's a good one, though. Twago. That's funny.
So I was just going to ask you what our subtle change, profound impact is, but I think you just nailed it. Check in with yourself, and it's different. Yes. Well, and it should be different now than you used to be. We should be growing. We should be evolving. We should, if you know better, do better. Just keep trying to do better, right?
For sure. And for those people, I don't care what age you are, if you have found this podcast, no judgment. Start from where you are now and just start going along the way, because there are people who unfortunately have never been exposed to positivity or encouragement or somebody telling them the moral compass. Listen, if I went by the things that I was taught as a kid, I would not be sitting here right now, right? So I self-taught myself all of that stuff, right? But if you look at people in my family or siblings or whatever, not everyone is as lucky as me. Because somehow, somewhere, I have the wherewithal to want to do better, right, and to want to know better. And so I'm a seeker of information. And so for me, I like to say, honestly, I feel like I was born with it. I've always had a smile on my face. I always try to be positive, even if something negative happens, right? So I'm not saying it comes easier for me, but the idea of it does. And so it's a platform I can jump off of. So if you want to start and you want to know what that looks like for you, I say just with kindness with yourself. And also, there is no much more pleasure one can get than giving. So like make some old, how we have old purses, like put some toiletries in it. Give it to a homeless person you see, or do whatever. It's the right thing to do.
That's a great idea.
You see somebody.
Old bags that you have, right? Yeah, really.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
rather than giving them, doing whatever, but like wet ones, some wipes, and you don't have to give a whole pack. You just put them in some Ziploc baggies. Yeah. Right? With some coins for laundry, maybe some laundry soap, because we're all supposed to be helping each other. And that is the right thing to do. And I'm not saying to do it every day, all the time for everyone, but it is the right thing to do if you see, I don't care, we all judge, well, they're out there every day and they should be getting a job. Well, you don't know their circumstances. So maybe they can't, right? I used to go sit with those guys when I first worked in downtown LA by the Wiltern Theater in 88. Right. And I sat with this man once and and I sat with this man once and I asked him why was he there? And he said his wife had died and he had lost everything, blah, blah, blah. And he just stood on the streets where they used to work together and talk together and did it. And so you don't know what people are going through, right? So I've stopped judging how people spend their money as long as it's not the money I let them borrow, right? None of my business.
You know, I keep X amount of cash in my car, very little. But when it's, and I give it out every week, no judgment. If I come across someone who's homeless or asks me for the money, I just give it to them, no judgment. And when I'm out, and I say, I'm sorry,
That's
I can't.
amazing.
Because then it takes the emotion out of it. It takes the judgment out of it. It's like, it's just not my place. Here you go, here you go, here you go.
Yeah.
But
and every time I go in, I buy, like the young lady who stands out, one of them now. They're always new all the time, but I buy her, the other day I bought her a juice, and then another day I brought her a protein bar, and then another day I was like, she probably doesn't even know what the protein bars are because she's so young. And I was like, dude, okay, get her. And I just give her food, right? And she always looks shocked every time because she can't believe I still do it. But I don't go to that store all the time. If I'm already buying some food, like I'm not trying to control the money I give her, but I don't walk around with a lot of money. Right. So I don't walk around with coins and stuff like that. So it's not like, you know, so for
nobody
me,
does anymore. Like we don't have cash on us anymore. We don't pay that way. We don't, you know.
No.
Yeah.
And so I just think it's it's like, I love in Italy when someone old or injured gets on the bus, everyone stands up. It's so beautiful to see.
That is nice.
So much respect.
Europe is really good and so much more respectful, I feel like, of the elders and the community. Yeah, I noticed that in London too, and in the UK. It's just people respect their elders. And in Italy and in Portugal, when I was in Portugal during COVID, everyone outside would wear their masks to protect their elders, which was so beautiful. So beautiful. It's like, you know, those things add up. It makes everyone feel supported around you, right?
Yeah.
Which is
and it totally.
great.
And then I wanted to also discuss, if you don't mind for a second, because I also would like your take on this, is there's also this saying that I talk about with my therapist. Always do the right thing, even if it's not something you want to do, but it's the right thing to do. So it could be like if someone's not talking with their parent or a sibling or whatever, well, they're never there for me, blah, 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 F them. Why should I show up now? Because it's the right thing to do. Right? You show up not just for that person, but for their wife, their kids, you know, your parent, your family you're showing up for. Yeah. And so I can do some of those with no problem because I'm very good at compartmentalizing, right? And but let's just take my mother-in-law for instance. I was like, I'm not gonna not talk to her just because you all in Italy think that this is the way it is. Right. I'm like, the right thing for me to do is to maintain a relationship with somebody who has been my mother for 13 years and who has been there for me. And so I fought through all of the arguments, the literally rejection, all of that. And it turned out for me, which is great. It worked out. I'm not saying it works out for everyone, but it is the right thing to do. You know,
it's something
I mean?
You have to feel in your gut, right? If it's the right thing for you or not. Certain people, you know, when you're feeling pressured or whatever, you have to go inside and see if that's the right thing for you to do. And, you know, some family circumstances and certain people, and maybe they've done some things and maybe they don't deserve for you to show up for them fully right now. But when you feel it, in your gut that, I should be there, then, be there. But it may be a case-by-case scenario.
It absolutely is a case-by-case scenario. But if you're doing it just to be stubborn and prove a point, like my one Italian friend always says, it makes me happy to be right. Because I always go, you want to be right or you want to be happy? Yeah. She goes, it makes me happy to be right? So I'm not talking to someone like her because that would never happen because the stubbornness, right? I'm talking about all of us who are literally opening up more and deciding that things, I don't care if you think I won or lost because I showed up and now blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I'm doing it because it's the right thing for me to do.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that that's really, really important. It's also, too, you know what I've really been practicing? Because I've been learning this is probably the right thing to do. I don't repeat conversations anymore. Even if I was repeating them, they were good, bad, and different.
Meaning
Because
gossiping.
well, it turns into that, right? You try
Right.
to tell somebody something and then they'll react and go, oh my God, they said that to you. And you'll be like, wait, why are you reacting like that? I wasn't even thinking like that, right? And now all of a sudden you're a little agitated, or you're a little this, or you're a little that, or there's no more confirmation bias, or blah, blah, blah. And I have somebody, a sibling who used to go, anytime I would tell them something good happened to me, oh my God, I want that. Well, why can't I get that? Well, what? And it's just like, then they suck the fun out of it for me.
Right. Right. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what I'm learning is it's the easiest way to stop the momentum of the gossiping and your vibration, keeping it, higher and a little bit more clean. And then people go, but Dena, what are you saying? Not to talk to people? What do you talk about? You talk about each other. You talk about yourselves and your
I'm guilty
lives
of that
and what
too.
you're doing.
I've definitely gotten better at it over the last couple of years, but yeah, when all the
Mm-hmm.
siblings are in the mix and then we step
Mm-hmm.
away, that is a moment where sometimes things come up, and it's like, I notice it though, and I do try to,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, or not just siblings,
Yeah.
but family, all of them, it's like people start talking this way and that way, or, and I
Well, yeah, and you
catch
get around
myself
people who
sometimes,
you're like,
and I'm like, ooh, stop it, not cool.
totally. Well, and you
I don't
get
want them
around
doing
people
it
you've
about
been
me.
around. Totally,
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
excited to be around them, and then
Yeah.
you want to feel like you're a part of it. I get it.
Yeah.
But once people start to see you in a different way, and then just know, it's not that I'm uptight or rigid by any means, clearly, but I am trying to find that sort of balance, right? Yep. And also, when people are pissed, you got to pick your moments of being like, don't be toxic positive, or don't say something to her, and then because I've had people get frustrated with me and go, I don't need this right now, and then they slam on me, right? And you're just like, I'm sorry, I didn't. So I keep my mouth shut, I let them vent, and then sometimes I'll go, you know what, maybe we should try this way or that way, but I don't interrupt when they're angry, or maybe I try to have the conversation a few days later of like, hey, look, I'm really trying to not engage in these kinds of conversations. Could you support me through this?
Yeah.
And I've noticed that certain friends who know me well enough to know are really cool about it. And they really do try to, and then they'll go, oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say, and I'll be like, no, it's not that bad. I'm just saying, I don't want to, because listen, growing up, when I grew up, you see someone on TV or whatever, you pick that person apart from head to toe. Look at her hair, look at her makeup, look at in high school, the number one thing we used to do is, oh my God, who are you, please? And we would look people up and down in their face.
Yeah, I can't stand that now, to be sitting next to someone that's judging people physically and talking about it. It's like, stop it.
Well, and it's letting people know this is where we came from, you and I, and this is how hard we're working on ourselves. And I'm 53. I mean, I'm finally getting to a point where, and I had to be secluded from people to do it.
I mean, me too. It's like you do the work when you're by yourself, really. It's easier to find the time to do it, I think. But you can do it in a couple too, but yeah, you're right.
I think doing the right thing should become normalized of, instead of judging people or being whatever, there's nothing cool about taking someone's job or taking money from people, or so that you could have more of, you could have better of. Go F yourself.
Yeah,
like, no, everyone deserves,
make it win-win.
with the, totally. And
because
so
that feels good too. Like, it feels so good when you've done the right thing and someone else is also so happy as a result of it. It just feels good. And
it also feels good of coming out of an argument or a deep, heated conversation with somebody when you're trying to do the right thing, and you come out of it with resolve, relief, and this sort of closeness. And you're like, oh, we can do these hard things. We can get through this stuff. We can do all of that, right?
Well, the way you set those things up, it's like it creates such a different relationship moving forward, too. You support that person. They want to support you in return. When difficult situations arise, they want to do the right thing for you. It's like, That's important.
Totally.
But if you screw them over from the start, of course, they're going to do the same thing back to you. Why wouldn't they?
Totally.
You know?
Well, and then I want to, before we had talk about ghosting, now ghosting for me is not the right thing, right? But I will say I have had these tough conversations with people, and I have straight up said to people, listen, I need more from you as a friend, and the intermittent ways of being there or not there. I never heard from that person again. This person's a therapist. They probably should know better, right? But now she gave me her answer, right? And I don't know what more I was looking for. I mean, no response was a response.
That's right.
But is the right thing to do to actually give someone the consideration and letting them know you can't show up for them? I'm not saying ghosting was the right thing to do, but sometimes people aren't, they're not equipped with that kind of emotional vocabulary and things. And so they don't know what to do, so they ghost.
Well, that's exactly right. I think if they're going to give you bad news that you don't want to hear anyway, they're just going to give it to you by not responding to you. And that is an answer. You're right. I mean, it sucks. It's painful. I'm sorry, you know, but it is an answer. And then you know, you don't have to try with that person anymore. You move on with your life, you know. It sucks, but
totally. And do you see though that they do what's best for them? Right? And
it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to be left
that way.
It
does not.
Right.
No, and that's why I'm saying is, for me, the best thing now that I've learned that I could do for myself is to have that kind of straight up conversation with someone in the very beginning, because before I would literally going, oh my God, maybe they're mad at me. Maybe I don't do enough. Maybe I don't show up enough. And I would, you know, people please or whatever. And I would keep going after the people who didn't want me. And I would be neglecting the people who were showing up going, I'm here. I love you. And I've also been the recipient on that other end where I've had friends not appreciate what a loyal friend I am. And they're always going out with the jerk offs or the whatever. And then they call me to complain about those people. And you're like, F off. Right? But I think I've been both of those people, and it feels better to me, and doing the right thing for myself is to say up front, if I notice some things that I'm uncomfortable with, going, hey, like, look, this is not okay for me, or this is important to me, whatever it is. And if someone doesn't show up then, or give you not answers you need or want or whatever, then you have your answer.
Exactly.
You know, so it's I mean, this conversation is so great because I think it's so different for so many people, but yes, doing the right thing for me is a big part of who I am.
Yes. Me too.
Yes. Me
too. And for me, the right thing is, if you're in the left lane, please just move.
Totally. But if I'm in the right, don't ride my ass.
I would never, because you are exactly where you're supposed to be. I never ride people's lane or ass in the right lane, because that's where they should be. Anyway, just saying. I love you.
I get that.
All right, we have to.
I love you
we
too.
have to wrap it, or
Thank
people
you.
are going to stop listening.
Yes.
All right.
They're going to stop listening to you.
Yeah.
Literally, get me.
Is that what I'm doing?
Girl.
Oh boy. Anyway, thank y'all for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for putting up with us.
Thank you for listening.
Yes.
Watch our food segments. Yay! We got
tuned.
more good recipes coming.
That's right. Yes.
Subscribe, subscribe, follow us.
Yes, please,
on
y'all.
all
The subscribing and the liking does so much for us. You know, it really does. It helps our numbers. It helps us support. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you, Dena. Thank you for sharing all your insight and wisdom. I appreciate you.
Yay!
And I love you too. I'll see you next time. Okay. Y'all have a wonderful week.
Ciao.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
How are y'all? Welcome back to Life in the New Normal Cafe.
Hello. Today I have a special little treat for you, something Italian. This is a traditional dish here in Abruzzo. It's called pasta lenticchie.
Today we are doing a pasta lenticchie, as Dena says.
And it's also gluten-free and vegan. Yes.
So I think we should talk like this throughout the whole video. What do you think, yeah?
So, we just have a very few ingredients here. We have a can of lentils, I rinse them, a small onion, gluten-free pasta, And I have some pasta water, a little olive oil, salt and pepper.
I just imagine Coach Dena talking like this when she make the Italian food, no?
You can also make it with garbanzo beans, which we call ceci. So it's also called pasta ceci. So you're just gonna do some olive oil, some onion.
Okay, now, so you chop your onion, yeah? You put it in the pan, yeah? I'm probably offending every authentic Italian out there, so apologies. Just saying. If the Pope makes a pasta lenticchie, he probably says it like this.
And we're gonna do some pepper and a little salt. Okay.
A little salt, a little pepper.
Now, we want the onions, of course, to get a nice glaze.
You don't want to cry while you're chopping your onions, because nobody likes a sad Sally.
Italians in general, it's very simple. We like to taste our food, so it's not a ton of ingredients. You like to taste what it is that you're eating. But the only difference I think that I do than they do, just to add a little bit more flavor, I use a veggie gluten-free bouillon cube, but I don't use the whole thing.
This is the best thing I've ever tried, and it is this little paste-like thing, and you just take like a third of a teaspoon and put it in your lentils or anything that you're cooking that you want to sort of flavor like meat in a way. If you're a vegetarian and you like that flavor like I do, taste like kind of like a proper bolognese almost. Since I don't know if I can tell you the name of it, it rhymes with Letterman Fouillon, and it's in the veggie aisle, and y'all just look for that. It's effing great.
And I flavor the water a little bit. I use some of the pasta water, as you'll see as we go along.
I was gonna strain it in a cute little strainer, but she says we gotta keep pasta water. We don't do that in the South.
Okay, so it's right about there. They're translucent enough. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to add the lentils, just a can. You can add more if you want, but I love lentils. They're great in iron. It's very simple. You could also do this with fresh lentils.
I did the bag of lentils because they're like $1.79 for this whole thing.
And while you're cooking, meh, 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 meh.
Y'all, Mr. Weed Eater decided that right now is the best time to do yard work at like almost dinner time. So,
I don't know about you, but I love the smell of onions grilled through the house. And garlic.
We will add more pepper because she had a lot of pepper in hers, yeah.
When I was a kid, and I would come home and you would smell that yummy smell. It's funny because Italians in Italy, I have a door right here to my kitchen. They don't like the smell of food through the house. That's my favorite part. I love to smell the food through the house.
Our beloved Coach Dena has been in Italy for over 10 years now, and she's quite good. She's quite fluent in Italian. I was impressed.
So these are gonna become translucent, right?
Our onions are looking quite translucent, no? I can't see because they're so strong in my eyes.
So you want it should be looking like this. Super yummy. You can give yourself a facial at the same time. I'm just gonna cook it a little bit longer. You want some of that sauce to just absorb a little bit more.
This looks so good.
I am so excited. It is absolutely the most perfect consistency right now.
Wow, that does look pretty darn delicious, right?
A lot of people will put parm, and since I don't have any vegan parm right now, I won't do it.
Because I'm a good Southern lesbian, I do have vegan cheese.
Here, I'm gonna show you. This is pasta lenticchie.
And we sprinkle a little Parmesan on it there like that. Well, in my case, we sprinkle a lot of Parmesan on there because I like it. What do y'all think?
And let's taste it. It's so good.
That is so good.
Listen, it's so simple. Literally, 4 ingredients. It's so good, it's so healthy, it's so yummy.
This is delicious, y'all. So good. Good job, Coach Dena. Thank you for another great recipe. The one thing I would add is a little vegan butter. I think vegan butter would put this recipe over the top.
I know, pasta. You have to eat it slowly, not too much, but every once in a while, a little pasta lentiki.
Yay! Thank you for showing up again at Life in the New Normal Cafe. It was so fun cooking with you, and please come back again next week.
Thank you for watching today.
If you haven't already listened to the podcast, then please join us there as well. We have a whole podcast, y'all. It's on this same channel, just a different playlist. I'll see you next week.
Ciao for now.
Mwah, delicioso.
Join us here each week as we unpack life in the new normal with a new hashtag Subtle Change Profound Impact from Coach Dena. To get a little daily inspirational message in your social feed, follow us on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Copyright 2020 Angel Baby Films, all rights reserved.